Okay, so what we've got here is a NOCO Genius 2 running at 22 degrees Celsius. We're just going to do a straightforward test, a charge run with the simulator. This thing's got a power meter, electronic load and a battery simulator. So it's three pieces of test equipment connected together by Ethernet from this test facility program. Okay, we use it for testing stuff around here. The advantage is you can plot out all the actual different transitions from one charge rate to another at what battery voltage basically, and simulate the battery. We can simulate batteries going flat. If you want to see much more about this utility, then look in some of the earlier battery charging test videos where we use this this rig. So loader test. This is going to be the NOCO charge test, and we're just going to run it initially. I'll run it once and then I'll just show you the results of the rest of the tests running in 12 volt AMG, lithium and so on. One nice thing about this battery charger, there's that water in there, look. I think I might have spilled a drop of water on the label, and look, it's gone underneath. That's annoying, isn't it? So it's not watertight after all, despite all their O-rings. Yeah, good thing about this is it remembers what mode it was in when you turn it off and on. So if you're in AGM mode, power goes off, so the power cut, comes back on, it comes back in the right mode. Okay, I've tested that. Let me just show you here. So if I switch to ABM now, so I'm testing and running an AGM, and then turn it off, so it has got some non-valid NVRAM inside which remembers the last stage, so it doesn't need your intervention. If this is supporting a battery in your shed and you power goes off and then suddenly your charger switches off and you're not there to turn it back on, you're in trouble. But this one's got a non-volatile memory as to which mode it was in, and if you carry on pressing, you go all the way through, and you can get 6 volt mode as well by pressing the button for longer, I think. Check that. I'm not interested in 6 volts, so I'm not going to bloody test that. Right, anyway, so I turn her off and turn it back on. We're in 12 volt mode and run the test. Oh no, we're not. Turn her on. There we are. I didn't actually press the button there. As soon as the battery voltage resumed, it went straight into charge mode, so ignore that. That wasn't a button press. That actually started itself. So what's it doing now? Yeah, we've got, if you look at this graph on here, go to the large plot, you can see we're starting at 2 volts and we're quickly marching up, and this graph auto scales. You have to watch out for that. So as it reaches the 4 volt line, it will scale up to 5 volts and so on. And you can see that there's some pulsing going on, and straight away the battery charger, we're in 12 volt lead acid mode, and straight away the battery charger is doing that. That's a display of the current. Okay, so we've got a permanent baseline of about 0.4 amps, so it's charging all the time. Then it impresses these charge pulses on top of the baseline 0.4 amps, and they go up to about 1.7 amps, I think 1.8 amps. So we're 100 yeah, so it's half a second on, 1, 2, 3, 1.5 seconds off. That's the pulse, you can see it there. We're on 500 milliseconds per division there, so it's 500 milliseconds roughly every 300 milliseconds. All right, and it'll carry on doing that pulsing. I'll move that out of the way so you don't need to see that anymore. That pulsing will stop when the battery reaches a certain voltage and the charger decides that it can take, it's a voltage is high enough to give it a bit more in the way of beans, rather than just trying to tickle it back into life by pulsing and hopefully in some way desulfonating or desulfating even the plates. It will then switch into a standard charge around about 11.8 volts or something like that, I should think. I'm going to run this test once and then I'll just show you the results for the other modes. The other modes are exactly the same test. There is a temperature test that's at the end of the video. Actually no, I'll put the temperature test on a separate video. So on the end of this test also is going to be a long video of simulating a battery charging and then discharging, and you can see whether the charger kicks in properly to support the charger to charge the flattening battery. It may have a load on it or something, or leakage in the cells, or a small light or something, and then I'll simulate it going flat, and then we'll make it recover again from the charge, and we'll make sure it shuts down and behaves itself. So for a long-term support charge, you want something that's not trickling it with 50 milliamps all the time. eating away at your plates and your gas and your liquids. You want something that shuts off properly. We've just gone to the one red light, and you can see on here the rabbiting away. You can see the progress on the charger, but you can see down here it's gone from a base of load of 450 milliamps up to about 1.5 amps, and then it switches up to the full 2 amps. And at some point when we get around about 14.4 or thereabouts, well, there you go, it's already dropped down to the bottom, look, you can see. So that's the lead acid run, and the results of this run are in the next section. Okay, that's just to demonstrate the use of the utility to you. All right, so to follow his results of those 3 modes, and then on another video, the third video I'm going to do tomorrow, I'll do the temperature compensation video to see the temperature compensation works. I haven't actually made any sort of comments about the voltages. They aren't documented in the book that I can find. And you know, if you're not sure that it's for your battery or your lithium or AGM, I mean, obviously if you're charging a 12-volt lithium battery, it's going to be 3 cells, and if it's 3 cells, they should be balanced, shouldn't they? So you should use a balanced charger. If you carry on just charging a straightforward 12-volt lithium battery without there being any kind of auto balancing, unless it's built into the cell, you're going to end up with imbalanced cells, and then as you charge it, the flattest cell will carry on charging, and the other cells will get over voltages, when over voltage is not good for them at all, right? So yeah, the way I'll get the data off this is just to click the series and then select a point. When I select that point there, you can see it's 11.4 volts 11.4 volts, 0.51 amps. All right, so that's the way I've got the data on the next plots you'll see. All right. Okay, so let's move on to the plots, and you can see for your cells, you can freeze frame and have a look at them and work out with the voltage what you want for yours. It does seem to be fairly consistent, although one thing is happening which I don't understand, which I've got to investigate, is that occasionally the output current seems to go unstable. And I don't know if it's all this wiring, so I'm going to test it on a battery rather than a test rig. I've never seen it happen on this rig before. This rig's been used for power supplies, for industrial lighting and all sorts of things. Never had a problem, but there is something slightly iffy about this in the output stages. But I'll try and clarify that, and I'll put the conclusion in after the temperature test tomorrow's video. So I have to wait for tomorrow for the final conclusion on whether there is an issue or not. All right. So anyway, going on to these results. The results are okie dokie. So this is what you got. This is 12-volt lead acid mode. You can see this is the pulsing which we showed you on the scope. Here's the first inflection point. It's 11.3. It starts to charge. It goes from the baseline charge about 0.45 amps up to 11.3. And then by 11.5, it's gone up to 1.7 amps, 1.6 amps. And by 12.4 volts, it's gone up to the full 3 amps. So full 2 amps. The full 2 amps. The full 2 amp charge lasts until 13.9, at which point it starts to roll off. And by 14.2, it hits another inflection point and then carries along at 50 milliamps. And then the 50 milliamp charge finally terminates at 14.4. So you've got termination voltage of 14.4. Right, so let's get another one up. Right, so here's a NOCO to AGM mode. Yeah, it's just going to be a slightly different termination voltage. So if we just slide that up there like that. Oh no, hold on. It should work, shouldn't it? You can compare the two. There you go. So yeah, AGM's finishing a little bit earlier and shutting off a little bit later, which apparently that's what they need to do, the old AGM, all right? So that's the AGM mode, and the final one is going to be the lithium mode. And here's a lithium, 12-volt lithium, I'm guessing. If you've got any other kind of lithium, you're in trouble. Lithium car batteries they're talking about, presumably. I'm not sure how they handle the cell balancing. So this is the lithium mode, and you can see the voltages are almost identical to the lead acid mode. Let's have a quick comparison, shall we? Right, let's shove that up there. So we're looking at the lower trace there is lead acid, and the upper trace is the lithium. So there you are, there's your voltages. It goes up quite a lot higher at the higher rate, doesn't it? So 14.4, 40.5, finishes at 14.6. And all these tests so far have been at 22 degrees Celsius, rough ambient, okay? So, yeah, your results, that's them. Lead acid, lithium, and then the other one is the old AGM. Okay, so that's me done for this thing today. I'll do the temperature test tomorrow. I've done the temperature test already. I'll tell you whether it works or not, and I'll release it in the mornings. I thought you might want to see this. Let's face it, it's going to help you get to sleep, isn't it? So if you look down in the corner of the picture, you'll see the subscribe button. If you can subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If you are, thank you, and leave me a like if you want to see more of these kinds of videos. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that, and this is me.